So you say, well, how can you possibly have an exhortation when you're talking about grace? Isn't that the thing that it comes and it just makes everything okay? You never ever again have to worry about anything because you've received the grace of God and now everything's just going to just roller coaster right into heaven, right? That isn't how it is. An exhortation is to take what's been given and sort of like press it. Don't let it fall to the ground, the things you've heard today. That's what I'm going to tell you. Don't let it fall to the ground. How is the kingdom taken? It's taken by violence.
Amen.
Which means that you have to see something, and in your perception of what you've seen, if it is indeed greater than what you have to pursue it above all other interests. So, God has exalted one man above all other men. Mm-hmm. All the fullness of the Godhead dwells in him bodily. Now this is the man that's been exalted before us today. Been lifted up. We've seen that all grace abides in him, and you have it because he has given it or imparted it unto you. Mm-hmm. Well now, what's the exhortation? Well then give all diligence to make your calling and election sure. Or if you do these things, remember Peter mentioned something, if you do these things, you shall never fall. But we don't ever have to fall. We've actually received the kingdom wherein we can always stand fast in the liberty wherein Christ has made us free. See, the grace that he's given us is designed to do something in us. Designed to work. It's a teacher. Well, just by its very nature then. A teacher can be ignored. Isn't there a place in the scripture where it talks about failing of the grace of God? Why? What happened? They didn't submit to the teachings. Grace is come and it's wanting to teach you something. To deny ungodliness and worldly lust and to live soberly and righteously in this present generation. That's what grace is, on the initiative sent by God through the person of Christ to teach his people something that they desperately need to have. Why? Because we're all destined to stand before a holy God someday. So in that destiny, if you allow grace to teach you, you'll be ready to stand at that time. So the exhortation would be to allow grace to have its perfect work in you. Allow it to teach you the things that God requires you to have if you're going to remain after that day. There's some that are going to be rejected on that day. They're going to be turned aside. He's going to say, I never knew you. They say, wait a minute. We did a lot of good things. That wasn't his assessment. His assessment was, I never knew you. Why? What happened? They failed of the grace of God. If they had received anything from God, they didn't allow it to do its work in them. Well, today, we have seen somewhat of the grace of God. It's come closer to us than it was just a few minutes ago. And so my exhortation is to buy up the time. Take what's been given and run the race with endurance. Well, I like this thing. He talked about peace. Something about peace that I like to think about this is that it can rule your heart. Which means there's only one thing going to rule your heart at a time. Either you can allow peace to rule your heart, or in other words, you allow God to have control of who you are. Or you can take the reins and say, I'm gonna rule my own. I am really commander over my own life. Well, see, peace, God can give you peace to where you can submit to him in full confidence knowing that he's going to do the right thing. See that, and actually that may sound bad in the world, but when you get up with Christ, you see he does all things well. I never have to be afraid of submitting to him and just saying, you lead me and guide me, and I'll just submit. I'll let the peace of God rule in my heart.
Yeah.
Are there any comments today, Brother Jeremy?